All right, let's try this one more time. What's going on, everybody? This is Sean of Raw Select Music. I am back with yet another round of recent record pickups. I know I said that I was going to try to cut back on my record purchases as of late. Well, that didn't happen. But I do feel like I have some gems that are worth sharing with you guys, give you an idea of some of the records that I will be talking about in some future videos. So, that little introduction out of the way, let's get into some of these guys. First up is a record that I've wanted on 7-inch for a very long time, and that is the Kashmir Stage Band. And not only is it the Kashmir Stage Band, it's two of my favorite tracks by this high school band. That is Scorpio and Kashmir. If you're even faintly familiar with the Kashmir Stage Band, you'll recognize these two tracks immediately. More so the track Kashmir, which was the song that DJ Shadow used on his track for the Dan the Automator, Prince Paul, Handsome Boy Modeling School project, Holy Calamity. And this track has the break on it, and I've always wanted a 7-inch copy of it because in general, 7 inches have a louder pressing than LPs. This is not always the case, and do not take my word as gospel on that, but in general, you can usually bet that a 7-inch is gonna have a much louder pressing than an LP would. And I have the compilation that Now Again put out years ago, and I love that record dearly, but I've always wanted to have this on 7-inch. Glad I finally have it, and definitely recommend that any funk fanatics like myself looking for 7 inches to pick up, definitely worth grabbing this one. Moving on, we have another record from the Funky Soul Brother collection. I've become sort of semi-obsessed with these records as of late. I love these edits. As I stated in my previous video, part of the reason that I really like these records is I love these sort of classic jazz funk tracks, but in general, the LPs that these tracks usually come from, they're not always worth purchasing the entire LP, so having these on 7-inch is just kind of a godsend. And this is a record I don't really know a whole hell of a lot about, but I really like the sound of it. It's got a really cool melody to it, and it definitely had the essence of what I look for when I look for records of this variety. So nice funky groove to it, nice sort of sample source material on here, and I really like the Funky Soul Brother edit on this. So yeah, run across this guy, definitely give this one a listen. So next up we have this record from 14KT from his upcoming album on First Word Records, I Am Beanie. This is the first single from it, The Power of Same. Really like the vibe on this, and if this is a sign of what's to come on his record, it's gonna be one of my favorites for this year. Some really cool jazzy soulful vibes on here, and just some of the most insane drum programming that I've heard from 14KT. And 14KT is already known for having some of the best drums in hip-hop. So really promising single, and really hope the album ends up living up to the promise of what's being presented on this record right here. So yeah, cop this if you can. Definitely give it a listen. Definitely keep an eye out for 14KT's album coming out later this year. Definitely. And then moving into LP territory, we got this guy that was one of the last records from the end of 2018 that I had still not picked up, and it was a record that I was really looking forward to because I'm a big fan of Julian Dine, and that's Julian Dine's Teal, released on Wonderful Noise, which is a record label based out of Osaka here in Japan. And I really like the vibe on this. I like the fact that Julian Dine seems to be diving completely into his sort of Afro jazz influence and love of the genre in and of itself, and sort of combining it with the sound that he had already sort of toyed around with his collaborative project with Lord Echo called Lord Julian. I really like that sound, and it seems like he's fully exploring that over the course of this album. So there's a lot of like Afro jazz influences, plus there's also quite a bit of like house music and electronic music all baked into it. The only thing I've noticed from listening to this is it seems like he's sort of abandoned a lot of more more instrumental hip-hop sort of quasi Flying Lotus sound that he was going for before, and just going all in on electronic music, house music, dance music, and Afro jazz. It's been a really cool listen so far. Definitely looking forward to giving you my full thoughts and opinions on this record later. So look forward to a review of this record fairly soon. Definitely check this one out if you have not listened to it yet. And then this was another record that I was curious about at the end of the year and wasn't sure if I was going to pick out because I was sort of let down by his previous album, Birdsongs, which is okay, but there's stuff that Suff Daddy's put out that I like a lot better. This, however, from the little bit of listening that I've done to it, is some of the best Suff Daddy stuff that I've heard in a while. I really like him going full in on his synth-heavy, less sample-oriented sound, and his beats still knock on here. There's still a bit of cleverness, there's still a bit of playfulness, which I generally associate with Suff Daddy. The beats hit pretty hard on here, and it definitely seems like it has a lot more focus on melody than some of his previous work. So I'm looking forward to giving you my full thoughts and opinions of this record with you guys, as well as going into some of his other records that I have, because I actually have quite a bit of Suff Daddy stuff. One more little thing to note though too, is this guy comes with a flexi disc. And yes, that is actually a playable record. They're not all that popular these days, but this will actually play on your turntable. Plus you can do this with it. And this last record I actually picked up in a different order. Did not get this one through Jet Set, by the way. Shop Jet Set. I actually picked this one up on Amazon a little earlier this month, and I haven't been able to talk about it until now. I hadn't ordered any records around it, so I didn't want a recent record pickup about one record. And that's this guy. This is Potato Head People, Nick and Astro's Guide to the Galaxy. This was a record that I really wanted to get early last year. It just didn't get a chance to because it sold out almost immediately on Jet Set, but I found it through Amazon. I'm really glad that this is one of the best examples of how to do sort of laid back, synth heavy hip hop that I think I've ever heard. The beats on here are really, really cool. I like the all the different synths, and I like the combination of sort of electronic music and beat music sort of mixed in together. It's pretty laid back, it's pretty chill. It's overall just a fun listen, and it actually hits a lot harder than you might expect for a record of this nature. And overall, there really isn't a bad moment on here. And before I do a full-on review of this record, it comes highly recommended from me. And if I don't actually ever get around to doing a review on this guy, definitely check this one out if you have not listened to it yet. So that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. If you've listened to any of the records that I've talked about in this video, please let me know what you thought about them down in the comments. And as always, if you want to check out any of the records that I've talked about in any one of my videos, please head over to my WordPress or Steemit blogs, because that's where I would be posting the audio links so you can listen to any of the music that I talk about on this channel. Also, make sure you head over to my Mixcloud page, because that's where I post Raw Select Radio, which is basically the audio component of this whole Raw Select music brand. You can check out a lot of the records that I talk about on this channel, as well as a bunch of the other records that I don't get a chance to talk about just because I don't have time to talk about them. Although hopefully I will talk about them at some point. As of recording this video, Raw Select Radio 24 is available on my Mixcloud page, and shortly after this video is uploaded, you should be able to check out Raw Select Radio 25. They are sort of different sides of my music taste. One is more on the jazz, funk, soul, hip-hop end of the spectrum, and then the one that I will upload later, Raw Select Radio 25, is definitely more on the house, disco, up-tempo end of the spectrum of the music that I listen to. But yeah, I feel like Raw Select Radio basically gives you the fullest perspective of all the different types of music that I listen to. So please check it out. I'd greatly appreciate it. Links for everything, as always, down in the description. But that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. Hopefully I will be able to get some more reviews out to you guys shortly. I also hope to start working on some different types of content. I know I've been saying this for a while, I just haven't gotten around to it. But that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. So until then, peace out!